We. Ugh. Existing and shiz. Yay. Alright. I'm probably gonna let the ad go before we end up starting it up, because it's probably gonna frickin' interfere with the damn cutscene that's gonna be coming up. I would not doubt it if that's the case. Oops, actually, hang on a second. I completely messed up. I did not want to do that. I did not want to start that game. I'll bring it up in a second. I just need to, like, get this out of here. I need to get out. Come on, baby. All right. Get out of the frickin'... Let me get back to the menu. Because I completely messed up the menus. Let's get over to here. Then everything should pop up. Hopefully. Yep, there we go. There we go. Well, finished up the trilogy. Well, first trilogy anyway. Basically, I'm gonna be going back through these newer games, which I have played Apollo and Dual Destinies before, so I'm aware of what's happening there. But I've only played, like, the demo of Spirit of Justice, which was, like, basically just the first case. More or less. So I can't really speak for Spirit of Justice as a whole. I can only rarely speak for the first two. But right now, we're going to be doing Apollo, because, like, you gotta start there. Plus, it's been a while, so I'm probably not going to have I'm probably not going to remember too many things. Because I'm definitely not going to remember everything. Because it's been, like, a while. Like, years. Granted, I know, like, specific twists and whatnot, but I don't know all the little details. It's kind of how that is. You don't remember all the little details, but you remember, like, the big things. Gods. Well, at least in terms of, like, the defendant lobby, things haven't changed too much. Well, actually, no, I think I remember, because it was not that long ago, the defendant lobby was a little bit different, was colored a little bit differently. But, whatever. But now we got the fresh meat. The fresh meat boy. Panicked. Palms sweaty. I can admit it. I'm nervous. Okay. Hang on. I was not in the window, apparently. Ah, good morning. Die. It's Kristoff. Oh boy. Hang on, I needed to check my config real quick. Yeah, I want to put that down, because apparently there's, like, a bit of a bug with 2400 where it, like, brings out the pixels for some reason. Better. Way better. Everything's smoothed out now. Good morning, sir. Look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. Apollo. Do you even know what that means? That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine. Got up at 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Ah, that explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I'm all over that drift. Apollo, please. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. Hobo! My name is Apollo Justice. Isn't clear already? I'm a new attorney. Today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. Brennan has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course, and so do I. There's no way he did it, right? Not him, no way. There he is. The hobo. Whoa! Good morning. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial, nervous. Meeting him, cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help? So you're... Fine, I'm fine. Ah, Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney. He's your friend, so why... Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he had something to do with the murder. Maybe. You'll see. You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you, I mean, It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir! Okay, I need to focus. First trial, here comes justice. Weirdo. Hello, Payne. How are you doing? Court is now in session. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is, fine. Ready, Your Honor. I'm going blank, don't panic. Ah, too late. Your name was Mr. Justice. This is your first trial. Yes, Your Honor, but I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin. Yes, Your Honor? I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. and my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Of course he wants justice. He didn't trust his case to this greenhorn. Why? Do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. So Gavin's got trial experience, fine, but does he have cords of steel? Then let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. Chillin'. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. Sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. A terrible one at that. How could this have happened? I won't speak of it further, then. The prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne.
Think, I saw you enter this room as a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains.
Ah, Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see. Yeah, which means absolutely not.
Him. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer. He hit him, wham, on the head, smack, killed him cold.
Customer at the restaurant, you say? The defendant, you say he was...
The pianist for the club, it seems.
Phoenix Wright, a pianist.
This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice.
The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. The grape juice! The grape juice! Hello, yes. I have 3D now. There's a number inscribed on the back of the badge. There are many numbers like it, but this one is mine. Proof that I'm an attorney. Tell the truth, I get a happy feeling inside just looking at it. Ah, yes. You have inherited it. You have inherited it all.
Wee! Wee!
Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed on the court. Yeah, you do your little thing. Do your little tutorializing.
Just use here.
The victim was a customer at this restaurant. Just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? Puns.
We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor.
Traveler?
According to his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear.
He had some sort of connection with the defendant.
That, too, is unclear as at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime.
Not only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano play.
That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime.
Wait a second. Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself.
Indeed. It appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal.
It is true the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. It was only that, a game, in a pure sense, a competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome.
Come again? Cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women.
It will be our first order of business here, then. To find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing. Yep. I'm a pianist by trade. Yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on the interested customers over to the poker table. The room where we play and the competition is there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. A game. And our customers are happy. Pianists who can't play piano.
And an offense attorney you can't defend.
Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. My first cross-examination, don't blow it. Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? Figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You watched me perform cross-examination many times. But you've never done one yourself, have you? Give a refresher? No, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. No need for help here, sir. I think I've got this one covered. I think you better do more than think you know it, or you do not. I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons press and present. Find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the courts. This is the cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies, lies, Phoenix Wright. As if. Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it. Oh boy. Oh, Apollo. You're gonna learn a lot here. Room in the crime scene photo is an attraction. It's quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. Black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen these days. Suffice to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. Bosses gather around the table, cutting deals safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, Lagoon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. It does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. The room had a few other tricks to it. That was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they came to play in the poker room steeped in mystery. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. So you claim you weren't gambling. That's right, it was simply a game. You didn't bet any money, not even a little? The only thing at stake in our game was pride itself. Well put, Mr. Wright. I don't mind to play a hand of poker myself. At stakes, your fate! Can we get back to the trial now? Is it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? It's your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Well, sorry, but there's betting chips on the table. There's betting chips on the table. Objection! Oops. That wasn't it. Whoops. Whoopsies. Okay, let me think here. Probably just need to press more. Are you just to play poker? That would seem to be the case. I am a professional after all.
Bah! Do I detect pride in that statement?
It's just hard
For an honest, hardworking member of society like me to imagine.
Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston.
What?
I played poker for 7 years in that little room. And I've never lost once.
What?
You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you never lost once, not even one time. As I said, I'm a professional. Played poker for 7 years, not lost once? Is that even possible? Decks of cards? Simple measure to prevent cheating. You alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. Something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. Crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we use 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards were red, the other were blue. As I recall in poker, you make 5-card hands. See how it would be easy to cheat. Heh. Yes, a game of hands. This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment that crime occurred. You claim no connection to the crime. Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a crime objection for the defense. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right, there's something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well, the defendant will amend his testimony. This one will press. I've got myself a whole new testimony. Phoenix, your prints are on it.
Objection!
So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon, this grape juice bottle, right? So I said. What's the matter, Mr. Justice?
Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb.
What's this, Mr. Payne?
I examined the bottle in question, you see. And it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints.
Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. What about my cords of steel? Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? That's true, the prints...
Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints.
Huh?
But the fingerprints of the murder weapon were upside down.
What does that mean?
It means he was holding the bottle inverted. And there can be only one reason for that. Yes. To brain someone with the bottle.
Mr. Cabot, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh, I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything you'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this funnel to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case.
I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason.
Objection!
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported?
Well, that was a defendant, Mr. Wright, but still that...
Mike. Payne. If he committed the murder, why would he report himself? Other than, oh, I feel bad, But that doesn't feel right, because, like, why would he even freaking do that?
Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene. I called from the defendant's cell phone.
Near the scene?
Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement, 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant.
I see, and this is the phone that made the call. With his little... It's also his old cell phone. Because man does not do well with new tech at all. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported to the authorities. You claim he is being uncooperative? I say, Mr. Gavin, I better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being.
Toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about...
What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. Prosecution has a decisive witness.
You're as good as they say you are.
If someone else was in the room the night of the crime. Yes, the lady. Must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well, the prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. There she is.
The witness will state her name and profession.
Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness?
I surmise that she's been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns.
So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns pointed in your direction, this court will cut them off.
You are sure?
I swear on my gavel, please come out. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor?
Well, if you're sure it is okay.
Now the prosecution... wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's... paraphernalia?
Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade.
And that would be...
My name is Olga O'Reilly. Employed as waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant.
Why the camera?
Of course, it's my pride to serve Borscht at his naming restaurant. I also perform, how is it said, other service.
I take it one of these other services is taking the customers' pictures.
Da, like for example this one.
That's the defendant.
Indeed! On the night of the murder, man in white hat is one who had gone kaput.
Indeed. That is the victim. It's quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps.
The same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on lots of customers casually.
Then the court will casually accept this new evidence.
Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room, a hideout we call it.
Excuse me? The hideout?
His room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested.
Haha, puns. Silly.
His room where murder took place. Don't look at what a surprise. It is lovely. I will post by a courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered and you will write which ones you want copy of.
3 people in the room at the time of the crime. Victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Right Hand. Olga O'Reilly, our witness. Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means... Very well. Witness, you will testify to the court about that night's events.
That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold, both players played with hats on, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket as his neck. Then last hand is done, but something terrible has happened, That man flew at victim, and is strangling him to death.
Ma'am. He died to a blow to the head. Please. Like, there's no evidence here of being strangled. Please. Ma'am. Incidentally, who won the game?
Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose. Ahem. Justice. Maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection. But he hadn't lost in 7 years.
Take it from me, kid. I didn't lose a case in my first 7 years as prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips as they lay the very moment of the crime. The hand of the chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith.
And it's a little hard to not say that, Mr. Smith won the hand. Chips, you say?
Ah, I mean, yes. Imagine that poker's war. Your hen is your army and the chips are the spoils.
I know that after all my youth, the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Look at this picture. It does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Yeppers. Yeppers. But it's literally like, ma'am. Ma'am. Please. He died from a blunt object to the head. Please.
Objection!
Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd.
Duh, normal customers only choke on borscht.
No, I mean this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Miss O'Reilly, really now, did you witness the crime? I don't know how you did that with your eyes closed, honestly. Like, what? How you do that? Do you just know where it's all gonna fall? Looking at the picture, doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything.
Yet it isn't the fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation.
That's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit.
But I have seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck.
Oh, really, Miss O'Reilly? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice. I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well, it seems we should continue the cross-examination. Such a thing is thinking too much. This horse is dead, let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking aloud too much, too. Oh, really? Oh, really? Ma'am? Where's the locket?
Where is it? Where is it?
Objection!
Where is it?
You know, there was one curious part in your testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. What does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Call the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on his locket and his neck, I believe she said.
I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar.
No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. What does it mean?
If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death.
Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor.
It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no?
Taking it off? Wait, you don't mean...
The victim wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it?
Ah?
Eh? Defendant, what do you have to say to this?
I mean, he's got a locket around his neck. I wonder what that's about. I wonder who...
Say,
Yes.
just noticed this, but something hanging around your neck, don't you?
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah, it's a locket with a photograph inside. Photo of my daughter. Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. Mr. Wright has a locket, too? I don't like buy that this is just a coincidence. Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game. Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost badly. Miss O'Reilly, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant. The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who is winning, he was victim.
I think I remember this exact one. I think I remember this exact one. I think I remember the big chips actually being less in terms of their value, and the small ones are actually way more. At least that's what I remember.
The one who is winning, he was victim. For last hand, defendant play with all chips on table and lose. Lost was decided defendant grabs bottle from table end. But you should probably elaborate a little bit on the points. It does seem to be a one-sided game. As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. There must have been a bitter pill to swallow. How many times have I heard those words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret what I done. Common tale, but true.
He thinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Miss Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years. His testimony must be wrong. And what do these what do they represent?
Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used? Of course.
Something's fishy with these chips. Yes.
Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips. Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips of poker chips. Not fish and chips. Not a chip off the old block. Not a motor debt.
Thanks. Now that I pressed her, I better ask her something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even?
Yet, as I have been saying before, it was a game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for capital.
Ah!
This was not gambling, only a game. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand.
Too focused on the money.
Two types of chip. 100 points chips and 1000 points chip. It is not money, da.
Justice. Sir, I do find our comment interesting. More ways than one, Your Honor. I'd have it added to our testimony myself. Yes. Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Added to the testimony. I knew where I was going with this. I mean... if you look at the frickin' photo... If one is 1,000 and another is 100, well... You get 900 on one side, and 2,000 on the... You get 2,900 on one side, and 4,100 on the other. 'Cause... if that's the case, it means right is winning, actually. 'Cause, you know... if the small ones represent more value, he would be winning.
Objection!
You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure.
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. Glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won. You're not in kindergarten.
My guy. My guy. You're wrong. If they switched the values, it would mean that right was winning. For safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the courts? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points?
Why, the big ones, of course. Duh!
Oh, I thought so too. But then the totals don't add up.
The totals?
Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips. The combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct, let's see 3 plus 1 carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up,
How much is it?
yourself, you're in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. Yeah.
But why? How could this be?
Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Both were right. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, there can be only one answer. What is it? The value of the chips was the other way around.
What?
Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones.
Madness! Utter madness!
It's not that hard to envision, Pain. Come on. It's not that hard to figure out. Show me that photograph of the chips again. There's 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. Almost as though you figured it out by yourself. It's really not that hard to figure out, Kristoff. It's a very small amount of math. Like, very simple math. I'm just glad I was the one who said it.
Wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing!
Indeed, the victim did have a large number of chips still. No. He has less. He has less value. He has more chips, yes, but he has less value. Exactly. Small chips are 1,000 points and large chips are 100. Let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table.
Uh,
The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and the defendant had 4,100 points. Well, now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all.
impossible!
My client even had less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning.
Yeah!
Now, Miss O'Reilly. You must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime, weren't you? Again, you do that. With your eyes closed. It appears the defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. Excuse me, what is it, Miss O'Reilly?
I do not want to be saying this, but actually, you see, see what, Miss O'Reilly? What do we see? In the last hand, there was cheat. Cheat? You don't mean a trick?
Wait, or do you mean a scam? We're all the same thing.
Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That's why game ends with chips as they are.
Great. Just great. Yay! Yippee! Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Oh, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting. Miss, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating. The final hand. What's the cheating? Come on.
Last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck, from ace to king. If both men's hands, cheat is more obvious.
I mean, that's all the aces. That's all the aces in a deck. Because there can only be 4. There's only ever 4 aces.
Next moment, game becomes argument, da. The defendant's trick was exposed. Took bottle in his hand, poor Mr. Smith.
Uh-huh. So really, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. House is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than scrumpulous tactics.
Mr. Gavin? What's a full house? Oh, boy. Follow! I fucking hate poker, and even I know what a full house is.
Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker.
I can't say this bodes well for your case or your career. What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. Cards with the same number make a pair, and 3 makes 3 of a kind. Good, now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 of 3 of a kind. That's a full house. Doesn't sound very easy to make, does it?
You can see each player's hand in this photo.
Well, they both have full houses.
We forget there's an easy way to make a full house. Going into beat for 7 years. You cheat.
And where is the cheating exactly? Where? Where exactly? Like, there's only freaking... Actually, no, there's probably an ace back there, in the very back of the picture. But there's only 4 aces here. There's only 4 aces in a single deck. Always. Always only 4. Did cheat in the last hand? That still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. I've heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat.
Look at both men's hands. Cheat is more obvious.
How?
Hold it!
How? How was it clear?
Ah, well, defendant. He played a 5th ace.
There's only 4 on the table. Ma'am.
5th ace? Just remember both hands very well. This man's hand has 3 aces.
No, it doesn't. It's literally right there. There's 3 kings and 2 aces. Ma'am.
And Mr. Wright's too. Obviously, cheating was afoot. Or perhaps I should say, a hand.
Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke. Very well, the witness will add this detail to her testimony, please. Excuse me? Mmm. Mmm. Like, ma'am, please,
Objection!
please, please. It appears the witness is mistaken.
Mistaken, but my name?
Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Oh, I wonder what. Hmm. The hand is completely wrong. Miss O'Reilly, in your testimony you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces. As you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces.
Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. It was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question.
No, because his own hand has 2 aces as well.
Objection!
Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating, alright. It's going on right here in this courtroom. Two aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please. It's true, I have seen it. The 5th ace. That was cheating, I swear to you.
That's odd. Must be lying, as she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. Ooh. Oh boy. You're right to trust your instincts. Mr. Gavin? Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. Cards? Mr. Payne?
Yeah? Yes?
Players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? Defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well, the prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? victim's cards or the defendant's cards? Well, for one, we may as well try the victims. These cards don't prove cheating was going on nothing well. Now, which of these was more suspicious? I mean, obviously the victims. Like, if there were supposedly 3 aces from the victims, we should probably check that. Well, time's a wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, yes. I know. I know how to spin. I know how to spin it. Whee! Woo! Woo! Oh, what's that going on here? Whoa! There's the blue and the red deck. Whoa! What? Your Honor, look at this. One of the victim's cards. The back is a different color. Who was the cheater then? A?
That's impossible. They put that card in Wright's hand.
Ahem. Ahem. You put it in his hand, eh? Was that Miss O'Reilly?
Not yet. I merely said, I have...
Your Honor? Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, a comrade, shall we say. The dealer. Ah. Wait, so you mean... this witness, Miss O'Reilly? She's the cheater. The professional, I'd wager.
Yeah.
Give me a moment here. I'm seeing something being delivered at the moment. I'm just checking out there. Never mind. Alright. Focus, Justice. I'm gonna take advantage of her. I mean, of her mistake. Please recall the testimony we just heard.
It's impossible. They put that card in Wright's hand.
Ergo, Miss Olga really conspired to cheat. Not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim.
What?
Wait, you don't mean... the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga O'Reilly, are you? Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident. If Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means... I am. Defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga O'Reilly, of murder. Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga O'Reilly?
It appears she has lost consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice, Your Honor, here's to present a new possibility to the court. One suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith. That means this court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time.
What?
I did it. Held out. I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries.
Objection!
Excuse me? No, I don't mean I'm surprised by, like, that specifically. I'm surprised about the freaking voice clip they used. Like, originally, the voice clip there used was, like, the original trilogy voice clip. But that's just the new voice actor for frickin' Phoenix. That's his objection for Dual Destinies. What an odd choice.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, I guess, but, like,
It's still weird to, like, hear, like, that frickin' voice. Like, what? I don't know. That's weird. That's weird.
And in the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet.
what nonsense are the defendants spewing now?
Like, it makes sense in terms of, like, all these games being in, like, one collection, so they probably had to, like, share a frickin'... They more than likely had to share, like, some voice lines and whatnot. Actually, if I'm thinking about it, I think that also means that they changed Apollo's. Because that sounds a little bit more like the Dual Destinies version, too. I guess they did it for continuity's sake? I don't know, it's kind of odd.
Think. One of the guards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means?
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raise the objections right when you're about to get off the hook. Ridiculous.
Mr. Payne, you of all people should know. Mr. Wright has a talent. For the ridiculous! Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night. As was said before, we all alternated between two decks of cards that night.
That was said before.
Two decks of the club have different colored backs, blue and red. One color per deck.
They use different colored backs.
Use the same color, two decks might get mixed.
Use different colors and they still got mixed up.
We used the red deck for the last game.
I see, but that's odd. For some reason, I have this impression that you were using the blue cards.
Yeah, me too.
I heard someone said something about blue cards. Well, no, actually. You assumed that they were blue cards because of the blue top here in the photo.
Whatever. In the end, one card of the one color got into the mix. Which means there was cheating.
Yes, a card slipped in the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet this card raises two serious questions. Apollo.
Yes?
Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think, in the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There are three broad possibilities here. Could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder. I mean, it'd have to be swapped after, because you'd be able to do it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swap.
Oh. It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? After. Absolutely after. Perhaps it happened after the murder.
What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly!
Objection!
Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible.
Take it from me, son. There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible.
Oh, even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown. After the murder.
Okay, this is going past silly and straight onto the crazy.
What are you talking about, Payne? What are you fucking talking about? It makes sense. It'd be way easier to do so.
Ah, yes, again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that?
Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us.
There's another.
Yes, a simple yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card?
Who?
The game and the murder is done. The victim is dead. Only two remain in the room, alive, that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Aurelie. Guess who was it that swapped the red card for blue?
Someone else. And that man is right next to me.
The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. And well, it doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Aurelie either.
What are you suggesting?
That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As a defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Aurelie at this point. Yes, I know. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. I'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright. Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking how much fun all this is.
Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. If the one who swapped the card was the defendant, it wasn't Miss Aurelie, then who was it?
Well, that is the question, isn't it?
Precisely.
Huh?
I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction.
New direction?
We'll find that, indeed, after the murder. Someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hands. And that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong colored card. Because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number of the card.
Right. Person replaced the fifth ace.
king. Sure, whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a fifth ace after all. All I knew was that the game had been won with a full house. They picked up a king from the table and swapped it in.
But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist.
True, not until now. But you have to admit the possibility of a fourth person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime.
What?
I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright.
He makes them ridiculous, but they do end up being true.
Trial proceeded on one central assumption. Namely, that at the time of the incident there were only 3 people in that room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption. The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. Court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Certainly, Your Honor. Very well, the trial will resume in 20 minutes. That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. Suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that? I must ask, is it the truth? Oh no, I think you would know the answer to that. Being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I have no time for mysteries. I've only asked that you leave the defending your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. Totally not suspicious at all. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Kristoff. Justice.
Yes, sir.
The judge has summoned me to his chamber, so carry on without me. You did well, Apollo.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright?
Ah, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket. Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there.
That's the little Trucy.
Surprised to hear you had a daughter.
Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days.
Oh, you will. You will. You absolutely will. One more question. Someone cheated tonight. Was it you?
What do you think?
What do you think, buddy? What do you think? Huh?
You know what happened 7 years ago. What I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat.
The thing is, you didn't. You unknowingly presented false evidence. Unknowingly. I never, honest, but it's odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years.
Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker.
Poker. Poker. 33.
30 fucking 3. Eh? You see, poker's all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law? Figure out what your opponent's thinking and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Your body language can become a valuable source of information. New mechanic! Yay! You're kidding. That witness, for instance, Miss O'Reilly. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who'd notice that? Words, habits, twitches. It's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. I'm not worthy. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will. Soon. Ah, almost forgot. One more thing about this case. You should know I haven't told the truth to anyone yet.
I knew it.
I have my reasons, of course, all shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. I am power? I don't think my cords of secret that special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best.
Yeah, I think they've switched a lot of things around for this release. Because I'm seeing like a lot of textual replacements. And we also have the audio replacements. Which probably means that they had to they more than likely had to put Apollo Justice's framework into the framework of Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. That's why you have like a lot of things that are changed to them. Alright, I'm gonna be right back. Probably be about a minute. I need to go pick up some stuff real quick.
Ah, that dog. That freaking dog. Give me a moment here. I'm looking at something real quick. All right. Try to at least get this second half finished. Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga, really recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again.
That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
Looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. Why sadly? That's like a pretty decent reason to not. Vince would like to request that Miss O'Reilly take the stand. Very well, the witness will take the stand. Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession. Perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser. Not. There's the real one. Name's Olga O'Reilly. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers O'Reilly. Oh, really? Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like O'Reilly. Yes, I think we've gotten that across. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied. Witness, you will tell the court that what you were really up to that night. Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see? Let me remind you that you're currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bull Club several days prior to the night of the crime. As a waitress. So we're in cahoots with the victim. Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. Winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, then deal 5 aces during one of their games. Where their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut.
Stop the cards.
Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would make a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Indeed. He caught red-handed at cheating when he cast doubt on all his prior wins.
A 7-year legend, destroyed by one little card. That was the plan.
Oh really, oh really. How droll.
But it appears you made quite the mistake.
Mistake?
I agree the trap was elegant.
Yet what happened to that planted card?
Yeah, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be...
You'd have to... What? What? I think there's a typo here. Whoops. Oh, wait, no. Wait. No, I'm wrong. You'd have to be lucky. I forgot the context for a second.
You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers O'Reilly.
Oh, really? This would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick.
Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad, you hear me? Bad. Bad.
When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung.
That night, I planted the card like it was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. The planted card was gone. The trap failed. Next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was the no-good cheating defendant.
Surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark.
Trap was perfect, I tell you, perfect. That rotten cheater hadn't messed it up.
Look who's talking. Oh, the justice for what it's worth is all yours, Miss Justice. This is like her, who needs criminals. It depends like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors.
Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd?
You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing.
Which means he didn't cheat. Which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well...
What was that just now? I sensed something. Nothing wrong, Mr. Justice.
No, nothing, Your Honor.
Should I press her a little harder?
Yes.
Miss O'Reilly, you're hiding something.
What are you talking about? You...
Me? Quick fingers O'Reilly. Hide something. The defense will refrain from baseless accusations.
I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true. He did it honest. Saw it when right hit him.
With my own eyes, I saw it. This weird vibe I'm getting. Witness, for instance, Miss O'Reilly touched the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching your neck, was it?
Yep. Yippers.
What's going on? Sensation. It's coming into focus. So clear. Twitch, it's so clear. Like I could perceive or have it, like I couldn't before.
Gotcha!
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Miss O'Reilly, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I didn't notice anything of the sort. When she says that part of her testimony, she comes subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory as she touches her neck. I'm sure of it.
A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about?
This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us. Rabbit is scratching your neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. What a reminder of the moment of the crime. Miss O'Reilly, whenever you recall that crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There's some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe that weapon that left an irreversible impression on your neck is this. The bottle.
Take that!
Whenever she talks about the crime, she touches her neck. What reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, than the murder weapon. But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain?
What's he talking about now?
It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit, not you.
This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits are completely irrelevant.
Justice, I'll admit I'm a bit confused myself. It's certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss O'Reilly, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment.
Yet, I'm knowing nothing.
Ma'am. Ma'am, please. We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now.
Fine.
Well, for one,
He had to leave.
Objection!
Miss O'Reilly, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left that room entirely. Man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't a defendant. Showdown time. You dirty cheat. Check his pockets, now. It's gone. The card's gone. You lose. Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to right. And he hit me. Some master cheating you turn out to be. When I came to, it was already dead, is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. Where does this leave us? Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this. It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame it. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? Mr. Gavin? Sir? I believe that as a defense in this case, you're compelled to call Miss O'Reilly a big fat liar. What? 3 were in the room the night of the murder. The defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive. Motive? Her plot foiled. The witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of that argument was murder. What? I'm no killer! Crap, someone's trying to frame me. And he's right there. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled, we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped in the victim's hand after the murder. The one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of the cards were being used. 4th person.
Ah, this theory again. Your 4th person doesn't exist.
Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. Perfect place to catch the real criminal. Real criminal? And we're in luck. The real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. Right at the beginning of the trial, no less.
What? nuts.
Paulo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Remember what I said. Fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error.
She wasn't considering the color of the backs of the cards.
Right, but how could such a obvious mistake occur? Cards used for the last game are red. Yet there is one person here in our court. I thought those cards were blue.
Yep. I had that impression too, but why?
Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was?
It's not me, I swear.
Who's this fourth person? Let's hear what defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used the final game were blue?
He's right fucking here.
As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair.
I was right?
Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night.
Of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards.
How would he?
As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue. One's on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in this photo. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before the evidence came to light.
It is true the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. And it was only that, a game, in the purest sense, a competition, Your Honor.
Competition?
Yes, a test of wits. Silent clash of passions. One of the cards, the back's wreathed in a blue flame. Know its final outcome. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is something the matter?
No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden.
Right, you aren't seriously excusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph. You know, even I never take a joke this far.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. And accusing his own defense attorney of murder.
I assure you I'm quite sane.
What possible connection Mr. Gavin have to the victim?
I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim had never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There is a possibility, after all. They may have met that night before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court. Defense would like to request no such thing. Christoph. I'm leading the defense. You have no fucking right. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case.
How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? Should I follow, Mr. Gavin? As I explained before, defense believes that Miss O'Reilly. Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you.
Yeah. You're only my counsel, buddy.
Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you.
Okay.
Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony?
Yes.
Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along.
I intend to see it through.
Vince would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. It too, Justice. You would betray me, your teacher?
Sorry, Mr. Gavin, this isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. Yeah, and the truth involves you going to the fucking cell.
That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shitty Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the wait nurse. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, you were at the Bush Bowl Club the night of the murder?
I dine with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder.
But against my will, I had become involved in the murder. And I'm in need of a lawyer, so I called him. Planning this all along, weren't you, right? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when you took on your defense. It appears I was wrong. Justice. Sir, he's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright, this can't end well. Can I have a normal trial?
Hold it!
About this failed trap. It's the same trap that Miss Olga O'Reilly mentioned. The plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, what we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Miss Smith would call him out and search Wright. We then pull out the planted card and trap would snap shut.
Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it.
Quirk?
I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card.
Where'd she plant it?
Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Suppose where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle.
Empty bottle of grape juice?
Murder weapon? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. Colored glass makes it hard to see. Oh, what's between the deceiver and the would-be deceived? That sounds like a terrific drama. Inside the murder weapon, that's strange. Police miss it in their investigation? We'll take a look. Mr. Wright, the pokerhead of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please provide your testimony with this new information. The bottle is completely empty.
Yep.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes. I've examined the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. Huh? No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely isn't all you have to say for yourself. I said I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a 5th person came and took it out. Only 6th person could have helped. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor.
I won't do having disparaging our investigation either. Looked inside that bottle, there was nothing.
What's going on? Is Wright hoodwinking us again? No. The card just disappear. In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence. Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. Just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? We're not, because Kristoff wants to get him fucking in jail for daring to freaking accuse him.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes. Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice. Next time you point out an inaccuracy, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh? You put the hat on the dead man's head? Wore it through our entire poker game. Calling the police when I returned to the scene. His head was in full view. Shining bright. Just like in this photograph. And picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head.
Why'd you do a thing like that?
All I can say is, sorry. That's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So really didn't see it? It being the victim's, his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Him. Pardon. Seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin. This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with holes. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. Never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. It's alright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Eh? When I noticed the trap, put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. When I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. Reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night. For all that, I spoke with defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the courts. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well. Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you? That gentleman who challenged you. He turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Someone cracked that flawless bone china plate. It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. Cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Bone china plate? Kind of porcelain. Very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. Court appreciates defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second, something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club? Most certainly. Then, how did he know? When did he see this bone china pate? Oh, that's right! Yes. That was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. When I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court. Exactly how did you come by the privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So this is your reason. Reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright? Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, I, as the prosecutor, Very well, we'll break for 10 minutes. After which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well, this will be the final recess for the day. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. I thought today would turn out like this. May I?
It's her! It's the magic girl. Ugh.
Huh? What?
Hello, sir. Please pick a card.
What's all this about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it.
Trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all.
The fake evidence.
Hee hee hee.
An ace. Where do I remember that card from? Yes, the ace. Missing fifth ace. Wait, the splotch of red. Is it this blood?
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. Yeah. Trucy, Trucy.
This bloodstained card. Is my trump card for fighting the truth? I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl. I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. Daughter.
Yes.
Court will now reconvene. Defense attorney Christoph Gavin, you will please take the stand. Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. The witness state his name and occupation.
Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone in this courtroom. Oh, absolutely. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? The secret, I'm guessing, he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? The owner seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Objection!
Yeah, I'm not sure why they switched them, honestly. I'm really not sure why they switched them. Switched, like, the audio. Still odd. It's still odd to me because I'm remembering, like, the old freaking audio clip for Phoenix's objection. But now that they've used the freaking Dual Destinies voice clip, it's just like, I get it. I get it's for continuity's sake or whatever, but like, I
I do kind of wish it was still the old one.
I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Wright.
What do you think you're doing, right? Well, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time.
One time? You mean the instant he was hit?
Oh,
When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, he would have had to have been there in the hideout at the time of the crime.
in other words, I must be the real killer. Is this what you're trying to say? Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin, I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court.
What?
Oh, I assure you I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet I'm afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in events of that fateful night? The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window of the hideout. Must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, so I left. That's when the call came from Wright.
So you witnessed the murder?
For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team? This is clearly disadvantageous to your client. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window.
Mr. Wright?
You had to say that, because that was the only probable window of opportunity, right, Apollo?
Oh.
Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe I'm gonna be up against Mr. Gavin. It's getting weirder and weirder.
Hold it!
Those were the only three at the scene of the crime. Yes, as far as I saw, at least.
And we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
Two reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
Objection!
must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime. Just as I just said, I saw no one. Not a soul. But that goes against what Mr. Wright said. Ah, yes, a mysterious fourth person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question, then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary? Show something I can't find myself. Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace. Ace, right. Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out the cards has been raised. Can you point out a reason? Yes. Defense would like to present evidence at the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out. Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace? Because it had blood on it. My reason is, this. Is that an ace? Why, it's got blood on it. Right next to the spade. What? Insane! Why wasn't I told about this? Why? Could this be? Could this be the missing 5th ace? Inconceivable. Could you? What are you doing with that card? Well, that's the thing. Mr. Gavin's so upset. It's a fishy card from some fishy girl. Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock in trade, after all.
Objection!
No, impossible. Unacceptable. Court, and I accept this evidence. It's a fraud. Fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? Reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? Suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood.
Objection!
Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh. Right, regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence. Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? Want to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene? And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture. Baseless!
Objection!
Oh, I assure you, it's quite based. It's the line! The line! What? It's amazing, really. How a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes. Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. Before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with the scene. What is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on the card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses? The victims, specifically. Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? Well, isn't the victim's position that's the problem? Follow your logic here, Mr. Justice. Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. I think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him. Ah. Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. That's right, so what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh, man. Oh, try turning the chair around. Chair was facing the other way. It would have to be. So we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. Mr. Wright returned from informing the police which way was the chair facing. When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. What I mean, the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know now that the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. This creates another significant contradiction.
Again?
Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Paulo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses? What doesn't make sense is the second witness. You mean to say I don't make sense? No, of course you do, sir. As I thought. Well, actually, yeah, it would be the killer, right? Victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yes.
Just what you're saying makes no sense. Would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of a game?
I believe sufficient reason will soon come to light.
What?
There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Paulo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, If the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking on the diagram. What? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's take it through and see what we should find. We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Killer had to be standing while, here.
You get points for flair, but that's about all you get.
On the something there, too.
Hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. It was facing a solid cupboard. Or you claim the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above. Ha!
Simple logic, really. This was the only place the killer could have been standing. And that means at the very moment of the crime. Wait, I know. The moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there.
What's this now?
I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Ah, Your Honor. What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Yes, I see. You belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. Do my best. Let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. The killer was standing here at the time of the crime. And this cupboard wasn't here, which means... Oh, try moving the cupboard. Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. The moment of the murder has to have been shown as here. Everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my. What's this? What's it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. Here's we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradiction indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? About this cupboard. Are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? If it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs. That's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court. Exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. It's a court of law, now I have order. We just now received word from our investigative team of the Borscht Bowl Club. Examine the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? Well, Your Honor, turns out that there is a secret passage behind it. What? Ah, yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks of the room many of our regulars know about. I remember him saying something about that, now that he mentions it. Secret patch is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. You never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops. Enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. You see where a line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see it, but I don't believe it. I wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. Time of the murder, when it was blocked in the victim's hat. It was only off of his head for a few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder. Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin, come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we could probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That reason for whatever reason. That night for whatever reason. Our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There, he crouched hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard. Holding his breath. Waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Soko really was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around. After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him, he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. The fact that they were all red. Well, let's see this trial. Has yet taken another turn. I'm truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. Gavin? Mr. Payne.
Yeah? Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Objection!
Oh, no need to apologize. I've rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me? Defendant is cleared of all suspicion. This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. Not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Legal evidence?
Objection!
I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to, like, deal with that freaking, get used to that voice clip. Like, at least until we get to Dual Destinies, it's not really gonna make that much sense. Like, sure, it makes sense in terms of, like, continuity or, like, limitations with this collection or whatever. But I don't know, it's still weird to, like, hear the Dual Destinies voice coming out of this Phoenix. Because it should be the same freaking voice from the freaking trilogy, the original trilogy. But, you know, whatever. Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin. Is there any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course, this bottle, for instance. A bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking. How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes. Fingerprints on the bottle were upside down.
I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. The court in this case demand an explanation. I can think of one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down. My guy, we have evidence saying... We have evidence to, like, show that he could just pick up the bottle from the freaking neck because he's sitting down. And that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor. Ah, see how the codfish squirms to the last well, Apollo? Yes? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation just like that. Yeah, just like what? Anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is only a legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find the simple answer there, in plain sight. Just say the answer in plain words. I mean, it's easy. It's right fucking here. It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me? On the floor? Yes, now reach down and pick it up. Without getting out of your chair. Ah! See? You can actually go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down. Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here. Plain piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of this piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. I believe it was that simple. Recall our dinner that evening, Kristoff. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. Then you must have remembered. You went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles. Took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. What do you have to say to these charges, Mr. Gavin? Fascinating. This is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection. What? You claim that I switched that bottle. Where is your proof? As I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle proof is quite empty.
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation? Yes. I have your memo about that here. 3 of the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. What are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I wouldn't be surprised if any were on that but his. Probably wouldn't make such a novel mistake true. The bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yes? Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? Why? Just humor me. Mr. Wright. That bottle will solve this case once and for all. What? Some bottle. Card. There's something inside the bottle. What's this? Odd. Can't be. Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga, really? Yes, our little swindling Dvorchka. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost a hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. And the card was gone. The trap failed. Wait, this isn't... telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of. Only mentioned in this piece of testimony. Put my hand in my pocket and found a card. So I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. Feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed where? An empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. Threw the card inside the bottle. Five of Hearts. This is the card. Bottles were swapped. The only one who could have done that was the fourth person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin. Heh. That is all. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge? Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago. My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right?
It's insane! What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone?
No, you get to be in the background, buddy. I believe this time we finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us to Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're pressing his arrest now.
I see. One has to wonder why you would do such a thing. He wouldn't have a connection to the victim, did he?
None that we know of.
It's alright. Have you anything to add? Afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. This victim is a Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. Profession to be sure, but that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good. Mr. Wright. Yes? 7 years and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin. He's a man with much significance for me. Both as a friend and a lawyer. Extremely talented to be sure. Needed two things before I could confront him. First was a place where no injustice would be tolerated. This courtroom. Second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo.
Me?
Dark time for our legal system. Question of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right.
It's right.
Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. Seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
Not guilty.
That felt abrupt. Like the cheering just suddenly stopped. For a few seconds there. must have recreated it entirely, and something must have been off with the timing. Thanks, Apollo. Came through, just like I thought you would. Pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you, according to Mr. the Killer. I would have done it myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Ability? Yes, the sensitivity I lack. Come to understand it soon enough. Hey, I wonder if he means... What's that, Mr. Wright? You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer? Right. It's full of questions without answers. Most of them about Mr. Gavin. Also a reason could he have to commit murder. Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Daughter, right? That's right. She's my daughter. You were right about this. You were right about this locket. Eh? I took this off the neck of the night he died. Looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. Truth is, this locket really did belong to him. Wait, but that's perjury! Testify, you said the locket was yours! I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with the picture of your daughter inside of it? Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out of job. I work for Gavin... Maybe out of a job. I work for Gavin offices after all. I can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo. Yes? How about coming to work for me? Eh? You mean at the Right and Go Law offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. Can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, you're not a... Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. Incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. In the middle of it all was one man. Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion and he left law for good. Have you thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Did you notice in today's trial? A single piece of forged evidence. Forged evidence? What are you talking about? Talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. Naughty magician's trick. I mean, obviously, it was the frickin' ace.
Take that!
You mean this, don't you? I got this from, your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yes, that card couldn't have been found at this crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left. Leaving the wrong card in its place, luckily for us. I want you to accept this evidence, it's a fraud. Fraud? How can you be so sure?
I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. And you really... Yes, I forged his card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real.
You can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney.
Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo?
It's true. Rumor is true. 7 years ago.
None of that matters much now, does it?
Ah! Punched him.
It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in, if you like.
Right.
Oh, about your uppercut.
Try yelling, "Take that,"
Next time. I find it packs a little more punch. Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time.
That Mr. Wright walked out the door. That's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved. At the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. Find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law. This is how my story begins. Oh boy. Okay, good. Unlike the original trilogy, they actually have all of these set up. All the points of, yeah. You got every single one. Every single part of it. That way you can play it where you want. I wish they had the ability to do that, in the original trilogy. Like, I wish they had, like, an update or something to, like, retroactively go back and add some of those. Because it really helps just play your own favorite parts. And it honestly kind of helped with, achievement hunting a little bit. But I think for now, I'm gonna stop. That way I can start up the second case for the next time I play it. So, thank y'all for coming. Hope to see y'all again next time. So, yeah. Hope y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.